Let's talk half double crochet into the third loop. When you work into the third loop, it creates this really neat line of texture that gives you a series of stitches that is worked across and looks incredibly cool. Here's another example. This is the Heart on Fire shawl, and you can see again we've got those neat line of stitches. This is a slightly more advanced technique. It does require you to be able to read your stitches and understand the components of the stitches, but hopefully the video helps. I worked a row of half double crochet. We can see that that's just a regular row of half double crochet. I'm going to turn and I'm going to start my next row working into those half double crochets. First stitch is worked. Now let's look at the next stitch. That's the back loop over there. Those are the back loops. Those are the front loops. And right over here, these steps, those are the third loops. So if I was working this stitch as I normally would, I would insert my hook under both loops and use that to work the stitch. If I was working this back loop only, I would work under just the back loop, and if I was working front loop only, I do just the front loop. But in this video, we're talking third loop, so we're working right there, and that's where the hook is gonna go. And other than that placement, it's worked exactly the same as any other half double crochet. You yarn over, you insert your hook, and in this case, again, I'm inserting it into the third loop, yarn over, pull through stitch, yarn over, pull through all three, and there we go. I've made a half double crochet. And again, it's just as simple as a half double crochet. We're gonna yarn over, insert our hook into that third loop, yarn over, pull through loop, yarn over, pull through all three, and we've got another half double crochet made. And when you switch to the other side, you can see how the fact that we're leaving the back and the front loop unworked creates that really neat ridge of stitches that you get when you're working half double crochet in the third loop. The last part of the video we talked about when you turn the work, so the previous row of half double crochet, you're now looking at the backs of those stitches. What if instead we were looking at the fronts of those stitches? And if we were working a regular half double crochet, we'd go under both loops. But we want the third loop, and the third loop is right there. It's very similar when we were looking at it over here. We looked at it like that, and you can see that that's the same loop as we looked at before. As before, it's a regular half double crochet, and the only thing that's changing is where we put the hook. Instead of putting the hook under both loops, we're going to take a look at the back there, we're going to find the third loop, and we're going to work our half double crochet into that. And we can see that that's starting to form that lateral row of stitches. One last tip, you can mark that loop before you work into it. And this is a little bit of an inconvenience, but it can be really helpful when you're learning the stitch. I've got a boatload of stitch markers for this, and I'm going to just mark that third loop. I'm not marking the stitches so much as marking the correct loops. Now that it's marked, I've just made things a lot easier for myself. I'm gonna yarn over, and instead of having to figure out where it is, I just look at the stitch marker, put my hook right next to it, and there we go. And now you can see, look at that, I've got the correct stitch. Even if you have more experience with this technique and you're fairly comfortable with it, I strongly recommend using that stitch marker when you're working something where the half double crochet is before or after the chain space. So here we go. We've got a half double crochet, chain two, half double crochet, and we're going to work the next row into the third loop. So this is pretty easy to see. This is pretty easy to see. But this one gets a little bit hidden. When you work that half double crochet, twist it to the back, find that third loop, and mark the exact third loop. So now when I'm working the next row, this one is relatively easy to see, and I'm going to work in the third loop. When I get to the next stitch, the stitch marker acts as a reminder that this is not one of the chains. It's actually the half double crochet, and it tells me exactly where to work my stitch. I'm going to insert the hook right next to the stitch marker and work my half double crochet. If that's still fussy for you and you're still having a hard time figuring out where that third loop is, another way to do that is to track the chains. So this is a chain two space. That's going to be the first chain. That's going to be the second chain. If I pop the marker into the second chain, when I twist it around and look at it from the back, I can see if that's the chain, that's the half double crochet, and that is the third loop.